Hello, everyone. I hope you all are well. Let me see if I can get a better light here. Yes. Hi, my name is Rachel Barnes. I am the 53rd National Chair of the National Black Law Students Association, and I'm very happy to welcome you here to our program in collaboration with the Mindfulness and Law Society, or MILS, bringing us a conversation on why do you care about my hair? Our moderator today will be Ms. Simone Yap, our national parliamentarian, and the star of the show, Professor Rhonda Mcgee, will be here sharing some insights about her experience and understanding of mindfulness and the greater conversation around natural hair and challenges in the workplace with natural hair discrimination. So with that, I'll hand it over to Simone.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Simone Yap. I am a second-year student at Northeastern University School of Law. I have the honor of serving as the National Parliamentarian for NBLSA and serving as your moderator for today. It is such a pleasure to welcome you all today into our first event in our anti-racism series. Today, we'll be focusing on natural hair, specifically under the context of why do you care about my hair? Over the years, we've seen that Black hair has always been a topic of discussion, whether it's weave, braids, locks, twists, or our natural tresses, someone always has something to say. And Black women specifically have always been judged more critically in the world, but especially in the workplace. Whenever we change our hair and walk into the workplace, heads may turn, eyes definitely will stare. And more often than not, you're going to receive the question of, oh, can I touch your hair? Not only is this an uncomfortable moment, but it's a racist one as well. Black women and our hair were often viewed as petting points, often frequently seen at the hands of white people, which we are not, period, point blank. And beyond others' feelings that they have the right to invade our personal space, on top of that, our hair is often deemed as unprofessional when it's not proximate to whiteness, i.e. being straight. For years, natural hair and protective styles outside of, straight weaves have been deemed unprofessional or have often affected someone from getting a job or lead to them experiencing disrespect or discrimination in the workplace. To prevent natural hair discrimination, the Crown Act, which acronym means Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, was introduced in 2019. As of today, the Crown Act was signed into law in California in July 2019. As of September 2020, it has passed the House of Representatives and is now waiting in the Senate. So that's the quick spiel. I would like to introduce the amazing Professor Rhonda Mcgee, as well as Chapin Semino. And I'm just going to give a quick background on both of these phenomenal women. And Rhonda Mcgee will also be leading our discussion around mindfulness and self-reflection. So, the wonderful Professor Rhonda Mcgee, top of me, if you're looking at the spotlight screen. She is a professor of law at the University of San Francisco and an internationally recognized thought and practice leader focused on integrating mindfulness into higher education, law, social work, social change work. As a prolific author, she draws on law and legal history to weave storytelling, poetry, analysis, and practices into inspiration for changing how we think, act, and live better together in a rapidly changing world. She has dedicated her life to healing and teaching in ways that support others in a journey to wholeness and justice. She was a former president of the board of the Center for Contemplative Mind and Society and was a fellow of the Mind and Life Institute, where she actually recently completed a 2-year term on its steering council. She is a member of the board of advisors of the University of Massachusetts Center for Mindfulness and on the board of directors for the Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute. She also played an integral role in helping to formulate the language that was used in the Crown Act. Professor Chapin Semino is a professor of law at the Thomas R. Klein School of Law at Drexel University. Chapin brings an interdisciplinary approach to her research. Her private law research challenges traditional assumptions about the utilitarian goals of contract, as well as the values best served by contract law. Her work includes exploration of contract law through the lens of Aristotle's virtue theory and Adam Smith's theory of moral sentiments, as well as a reconsideration of contract law in the light of new empirical data establishing that contractors seek goals beyond financial gain. Chapin's interests find additional expression in her commitment to contemplative lawyering. As a longtime mindfulness practitioner, she has been trained to teach mindfulness to lawyers by Warrior One LLC in San Francisco. And finally, just to give a background on the Mindfulness in Society organization. This organization was created to help promote well-being and alleviate stress in the legal profession, also nationally and internationally, by providing education around the benefits of mindfulness, yoga, and other contemplative practices for legal and related professions, and also to develop, promote, coordinate, and assess activities to support the continued learning and growth of members in this regard. This includes, but is not limited to, establishing and supporting divisions and chapters that allow lawyers, law students, and others involved in the legal profession that are interested in mindfulness, yoga, and other contemplative practices to organize by their professional interests, geographic location, and other means. They also provide opportunities for mindfulness organizations to affiliate with various corporations to take advantage of its networking, coordination, and other capacities. And finally, they help to organize conferences, meetings, and other gatherings for its members, chapters, and affiliates. So that is just a quick background on our amazing speakers and their organization. So I'm just going to start by showing a quick video, which is Hair Love, which is an Oscar award-winning short by Matthew Cherry. So give me a second, let me just get that queued up. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Just took a little bit of work and a whole lot of love. Mwah. Are you ready to do this? All right, here we go. See? Now, wasn't that easy? Now, wasn't that easy? All it takes is some confidence and a willingness to get started. And even though I'm not there, I'll guide you through this. I want to thank my very special assistant, my daughter Zuri, for helping me with today's vlog, like always. And remember, the road ahead might look rough, but you can make the journey with a little bit of work and a whole lot of love. Mwah. Are you ready to do this? All right, here we go. First, you want to moisturize these beautiful thick curls with a leave-in conditioner, which will also help detangle the kinks. Now, part all your hair into sections and clip it away. You're doing an amazing job. Yay, you did it! That was so much fun. I knew you could do it.
Gonna be alright, cause it's already alright. Right, gonna be alright, cause it's already alright. Yeah. Happy days, happy days, happy days, happy days. Whoa, that's life when you do right. 10 feet tall and a mile high. Happy days, happy days, happy days, happy days. Whoa, that's life when you live right. Finally got a piece of the pie.
I don't know about you guys, but that short gets me in my feels every single time. It is just so cute and just such a good feel-good short. So I would like to hand it over to Professor Mcgee, and she's going to lead our discussion around mindfulness and lead us in a self-reflection. Professor Mcgee, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so very much, my dear Simone. It's beautiful to be here with you and with all of the other members of BALSA and our Mills team, without whom we wouldn't be here. And of course, thanks to every single one of you who's shown up, who made the time to be here with us. Wow, like Simone, you know, I'm still feeling the movement of that video. So I kind of want to, as I begin this reflection with you on mindfulness as a support for deepening our roles in law, society, in the world, and life, and for thriving. In the context of really looking at how presentation bias impacts our profession and has impacted our profession, but might be something we could free ourselves a bit more from each day. I want us just to really allow ourselves to sort of sit with what is coming up for us as we have reflected on that movie. And some of you are already putting this in the chat. And I'd invite more of you to go ahead and do that. Thoughts, emotions, sensations that are coming up for you in response to that movie. I don't want to just move from that too quickly, But as we do so, I want to just name that this is an example of a kind of mindfulness practice, this kind of invitation to pause and reflect together on what we are experiencing and develop the kinds of communities that can be supported by naming thoughts, emotions, and sensations that come up as we encounter information about race, about racial difference, about racialized experience in the world. What's coming up for you? For some of us, this kind of, first of all, this video may be new to many of us. For how many of you is this the first time you've seen it? You can go ahead and raise your hands. We can see y'all if you're willing. Yeah. And by the way, if you don't have your visuals on, I totally understand. No right or wrong here, but if you can show them during a gathering like this, so much the better. Because part of what we are trying to do is figure out how to build robust and resilient communities together, and to do that even on Zoom. And we can do that a little bit better if we're willing to sort of see and be seen, to allow ourselves to be seen a little bit more, to lean in to see each other's beautiful faces, right? We don't have to sit in that rectangle that we've got ourselves trained to with Zoom. We can actually lean in, come on in, and see each other's beautiful faces as we come together as human beings, having some very human experiences in a time of multiple interlocking pandemics. We need to see each other. We need to be together. So thank you all for that. Am I willing to see? Am I willing to be seen? A kind of practice that I often use with my classes when we're looking at issues like this, especially at the outset of creating a kind of a community of practice, a community of teachers and learners together. We're all learning together always. And one that really recognizes the relational dimension. So it's not all about me as a, that sage on the stage, so to speak, but really we're learning from each other, and we need each other right now more perhaps than we ever had. So yes, seeing the reflections, I'm seeing people, some of it is helping people remember instances in their own experience. Brandy has gifted us with the reflection that my daughter struggled through this in elementary school, and now she proudly walks to high school with her curly fro and dares people to say anything. The struggle to be seen. Yeah. Amelia, one of the things I love about this is the dad having the courage to care for his daughter physically. Again, this can be an aspect of any of our experience, not only for those of us who are racialized as Black or self-identify as Black. That relationship between father-daughter, right? So tender in this movie. But that particular struggle for acceptance as an African-American, Black identified, mixed race with a person with hair that defies the prescribed cultural dominant preferences for straight hair. There's a lot of pain and history around this struggle. And there is also, as you all know, some good news insofar as since last July, when my state of California became the first state to enact a Crown Act, right? As Simone said, Crown standing for create a respectful and open workplace for natural hair, Crown. This enactment from California, followed rapidly by one in New York, signaled, I think, a new era of activism and the push for acceptance against this particular kind of discrimination and, frankly, anti-Black racism that is resonant in our culture, that's constantly pushing us to assimilate to styles of presentation, especially hair presentation, especially Black identified hair presentation, that feel more comfortable, especially for white racialized people, that put white folks at ease. That's a subtle aspect of the demand for presentation in ways that appear to be assimilatory, assimilationist. And I'm just going to say that I know something about this as a Black racialized woman growing up in North Carolina, born in 1967. No shame in naming that year. Proud of that year, the last year of Martin Luther King's life on the earth, right? A year in the midst, really, of the civil rights, an aspect of and a particular phase of the civil rights struggle in America. But growing up in the 70s in North Carolina and Virginia, I certainly got all of the different signs and symbols of your natural hair isn't good enough. Your natural hair is a problem, right? How you were born, the hair you were born with is a problem that has to be literally, quote unquote, fixed. Literally fixed. And time and energy and all of that went into kind of presenting myself, straightening the hair, a big part of it. Straighten the hair. If you see pictures of me out there, you'll see a lot of straightened hair from my past. And again, this is all a legacy of external cultural, racist cultural demands, right? That part of the legacies of enslavement and segregation, the cultural racism implicit in slavery, enslavement, and segregation, cultural, privileging European ways of looking and being in the world, right? So there's a big strand of racism that's about cultural dominance. And that intersects with economic dominance, right? And biological notions of biological superiority. When we unpack racism, it's got a lot of strands. And what we're really focusing here on is this sort of cultural and presentation related strand that is really deeply embedded in racism, but often never named, often not acknowledged. And yet, yes, all of these trainings around whether or not it's okay to show up, with more natural hair, less straightened hair. And I say more natural because I still have to do something. It's not like I just wake up and the hair looks like this, but it's not, the things I do today are not the things I do because I have been led to believe that, frankly, white people will be more comfortable if my hair looks more like theirs than like my natural hair. And that's a big shift in the direction of liberation. So I love that our BALSA students, Simone, and we've got Rachel and Ayana from National BALSA on the line here, and all of the various students who have been a part of this particular project have been so clear that this new generation is claiming again their right to show up as they are. And they're looking to us as employers, as colleagues in law, to embrace them as they are and to meet them where they are and to learn what we need to learn so we can get over whatever legacies of racism we might be bringing when we meet them. And this may be difficult. So this is one of the reasons why I think mindfulness can help. As you all know, I've been working this field of mindfulness as a support for social justice and anti-racism, what we have called anti-subordination, because we know racism links with other forms of subordinating behaviors around sexism, class, disability, age, right? It's all intersectional. And I wrote a book called The Inner Work of Racial Justice, which is going to say much more than I can here about how basic practices, meditation, pausing together, like I'd like us to do just right now, pausing together can assist us in seeing more of what we need to see. What were the ways you were trained to think of folks as professional? What were some of the presentation dimensions of that? What does a professional look like? And how is it that that construct embeds gender norms, body shape norms, norms about how folks' hair should look? Let's think about that. And how much of that is required, actually, right? Actually, how much of this is maybe just preferences that we have been given and we've inculcated and internalized? And let me just say that we all can internalize these regardless of our background. This is not only something that white racialized folks have internalized. And again, there's a lot of pain and some shame that can come up when we think about these things. But for example, in my own family, you know, my mother and aunts and grandmothers were about trying to straighten my hair, you know, when I was a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, you know, it from a very early age. And the reason, you know, we didn't talk about it explicitly, but I was growing up in North Carolina in a segregated town where the economic opportunities were very, very limited and where racism was just always in the air. And so the idea that you needed to do things to minimize the oppression, to minimize the likelihood that you'd be met with, treated with indignity, not respected, not seen and valued. That was a very real and present threat. Violence, teasing, bullying, and worse was a real threat. And I'm just going to say this, it still is. It still is. Although we're in this moment of beautiful experimentation with new ways of thinking about how we can expand the notion of what it means to be a professional in law, to include folks who show up in perfectly, groomed but different ways. It's sort of shocking that we have to even have this conversation, but we know we do because, you know, young Black children are being sent home from school still for having their hair natural, whether it be locks, braids, cut in a certain way. This is something that's affecting all genders. It's not only women. And there is a lot of unnecessary cruelty and pain running with that limits people's potential to perform well, that limits people's potential to thrive. And enough is enough. Enough is enough. This is an aspect of racism in our culture that we can do something about. No teasing, right? No giving people a little look when you see them at a pool area or at a resort or in your neighborhood wearing hair that's different. We've got to create places where people feel physically safe. And we've got to notice when that teasing, when that bullying is happening, because that is something, you know, a sign of an environment where we need to work to minimize the legacies of these histories. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to just go away because the new generation is coming along. No, we have to work for this because we've learned that every generation has new ways of retraining in racism. Haven't we learned this? Haven't we learned that there are new forms of appeals to anti-Black racism every day, and that get empowered sometimes? We are voting to empower these forms of anti-Blackness sometimes, and then they are being weaponized for political and other means. So this is something that we have to take seriously. So pausing right now and just inviting us to take a few moments in meditation together. And I often use the formal form of meditation, and I'm going to do that for a few moments here. I'm going to ring a bell. I'm the sort that will have a bell with me from time to time. And I'd invite you to sort of just allow yourself to let the sound of the bell support you in pausing and bringing some kindness to yourself if there's any way in which some difficult memories are coming up for you in particular, some painful memories. I know that's true for some of you. I want to really invite kindness in this meditation and compassion. And whether you're feeling personal memories of ways you've been forced to fit in or challenged for not fitting in and for whatever reason, or if you're being reminded of difficult, frankly, racist trainings, jokes, teasing, anything you witnessed, or if you're numb to all of this, whatever is happening, or if you're just overwhelmed with everything that's going on right now, this right here is going to be a moment for pausing and bringing kindness to our experience as a support for our being able to be together with these difficult issues. So as I ring the bell, see if you can allow it to support you in turning inward for just a moment, being with yourself with kindness, and I'll lightly guide as we go. So perhaps taking a moment to notice the points of contact between the body and this good earth. If your feet are on the floor, seeing if you can just notice if you can allow them to feel, maybe as you flatten them and rest them on the earth, feel the energy and support of just being held. Feet on the floor, through maybe doing a gentle scan up through the lower legs, upper legs. If you're seated, points of contact between the body and the chair, buttocks, lower back. And through these points of contact, really sensing you're being held in this moment. The support that exists for you right here, right now. Represented by the chair that you're sitting in. And beneath that, this good earth that we're sharing right here, right now. So as we are becoming more aware of the body resting on this earth, our bodies breathing in and breathing out and bringing awareness gently to the sensations of breathing in and out. Feeling a sense of the body as a whole. And as you do so, feeling the goodness of your life energy right here, right now. And again, you may be more comfortable with the eyes open than closed. If you're comfortable closing them, please take this moment to do so if you're comfortable. But either way, just take the moment to rest the eyes. We're so often given to be multitasking, and this is a moment to just rest for a minute. Breathing in and out, feeling the aliveness in your body, the life energy, the force in your body, the force of life in your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Continuing a gentle scan up through the points of contact between the body and the earth, the chair, perhaps the floor, up through the midsection, the lower torso, the upper torso, through the heart region. You pause and feel the sensations in the region of your heart, right here, right now. And if it helps, if you're feeling any difficulty, perhaps placing one hand over the heart, or maybe both hands. Neurobiologists tell us that placing one hand over the heart, maybe one hand over the belly button. We are now touching these really important energy centers, the external regions associated with the parts of our body, the lungs underneath, the heart, the diaphragm, all of these so important, connected with the vagus nerve, so important for the down-regulating capacities that we're born with, the autonomic nervous system. So as we breathe in, the sympathetic aspect of the nervous system, breathing out, the parasympathetic, pausing, calming, releasing aspect of our nervous system. So gently breathing in and breathing out, we're down regulating. We're deepening our capacity to deal with challenge as it arises, to resource ourselves. By just this moment of breathing and being lovingly with our own bodies and coming home in a certain sense, to a sense of our inherent belonging. We all belong here in our beautiful differentiatedness. And so breathing in and breathing out, we can feel this gentle connectedness with the earth and with each other. Letting go of thoughts for the moment. They'll be there when the time comes. Noticing any thoughts that come up, noticing any bodily sensations, any place where you're feeling tightness, distress, seeing perhaps if on the next in-breath you can notice where you might be feeling any discomfort, pain, resonating, suffering, and on the next out-breath, seeing if you can breathe out, perhaps in a way that we can, if we were there, we could hear you breathing out with sound, or the sound of your sighing, exhaustion of the breath, letting go. So breathing in, sensing any tightness, any pain, breathing out, letting go. Just for these moments. As we allow ourselves to attend to our bodies in this way, we come home to a sense of our belonging. And if we are willing to shift our points of focus just for a moment to the sensations of the in-breath when it comes for you, the out-breath, and continue following along, attending to our breathing. By putting our attention on a point of focus, like the sensations of breathing, we're deepening our ability to focus at will. And this can be of benefit when we are noticing the way we get distracted when listening to another. So we can bring a similar attention to listening to another sharing their experience. We can bring a similar attention to feeling the feelings that are coming up for us when we hear, just naming the feeling, sadness, anger, breathing in and breathing out, perhaps letting go, having acknowledged those feelings and feeling the ground beneath us again. So there are just many ways that mindfulness in this way can support us in deepening emotional intelligence, social intelligence, our own resources for working together for change. So in a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to invite us out of this meditation, and would like to, as I do so, again, invite you to sense into the quality of care that you bring to your own being and body in this moment. Seeing if you can expand that sense of self-care and self-appreciation and frankly, love. Really feeling the desire and the wish to alleviate your own suffering, which I think is a core component of mindfulness practice. The desire and the wish to alleviate our own suffering. That's self-compassion. And then from this place, can we extend this wish to alleviate suffering to everyone here? And to those whose lives we will touch with the work we will do today and beyond. So when and as you're ready, if the eyes have been closed, the invitation is to just go ahead and open them. And as you do so, just with intentionality, noticing the riot of color and light that comes in. And now again, the invitation to connect with others. That might be a tender transition for folks if we've really been reflecting on some painful memories and thinking about some of the difficulties we face. So allowing ourselves to be continually self-supporting and extending that hand of support to others as we reflect together. I see there's so much in the chat. There's no way we're going to be able to get through all of them. But I know you're already doing this kind of tender self-reflection, right? And some of you are recognizing some of the difficulties. And I want to invite, if somebody has a question or a reflection you want to share with us by verbally, please, I think you can unmute and just go ahead and share a question or a reflection. Because there's so many, it's hard to catch all of them.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, my dear, thank you. Tell us.
Hi, how's everyone today?
Hey, we're good. Everybody unmute if you're willing to just shout out. Good to hear you.
Good. I just like to share something very quickly. I quickly wrote it in the chat. And it is, I don't care what style you choose to wear, but I'm Judge Brendette Brown Green, Birmingham, Alabama, Circuit Civil Court. I don't care what style you choose to wear in my courtroom. However, I am a bit concerned if I see different styles that are neatly groomed. We shouldn't even have to say that. I've worked in a number of different courts. This is the third court that I've served in. I've worked in family court. I've worked in municipal court. And now I'm on the circuit civil bench. But I think judges are concerned when they see styles that are not neatly groomed, not so much as to whether your hair is straight or if it's braided or if it's plaited. That's what we called it in Alabama, where I live and grown up. It's plaited or whatever. But it's for me, it's a bit offensive if I see hair, especially natural hair or straightened hair, that is not neatly groomed. Okay, if you choose to wear dreads, you know that at some point you need to go back and have them redone. Please don't come to court looking like that. I think that takes away from the essence of the natural, the beautiful natural hair that we have and that we can wear and that we can express ourselves by wearing it in whichever way we choose to. So my whole point is I think it just should be neatly groomed. And that's it for me. If anybody wants to ask me any questions about that from a judicial perspective, I will gladly try.
Yeah. Thank you so
Well,
much, Judge Green. A question that comes up for me is, or a reflection is, neatly groomed is one of those phrases that is not self-defining,
mm-mm,
right?
mm-mm.
But you know what? You know what your hair looked like when you did it initially, right? And you know what it looked like 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months after that. Did it look the same way? Do you still have the same style that you intended or that you started with? If your hair was locked at one point and then all of a sudden um, it is not, and you know from that perspective. I mean, now I'm not saying that we don't all have bad hair days. We do. I mean, I think mine looked better yesterday than it does today. But I hear what you're saying. That is relative to all of us. But I think that we know ourselves. And I'm just saying, just as you pay attention to what you wear, when you decide to wear your hair in different styles, natural or whatever, pay attention to that as well.
Yes. I
That's
think
all
I
I'm saying.
understand what you're saying.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hi, Your Honor, good afternoon.
Good
Um,
afternoon.
I used to agree with you regarding the neatness of your hair. But watching the styles change for young people, what you and I of a particular generation consider a red hot mess, they intended for that particular look. So we have to kind of come out of that judgment. And as people of color, we've always been judged by what our hair looks like. So
Mhm.
we know what that's about. I have sister locks myself. I've worked in the same law firm for over 40 years, and
Mhm.
they've seen my crown change with whatever I want to do. It's my crown. You cannot tell me how to wear my crown. I'm going to
Mhm.
wear it. I have locks now. I can't tell you how many people I have had to explain that no, this is not braided. They don't re-braid it. They're locks, they're dreads. No, they are not traditional locks because dread is a negative connotation. So we need to get that out of their mouths.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
this involves a crochet hook and it takes a while. Well, why did you want to do that? And the only thing I could think to say was so that you could ask me that question and we could have this dialogue. Um, all that to say that we have to relook at how the young people show up in court.
I agree. I agree with you on that. But my sister, your hair is simply beautiful. But if you appeared in my court right now with lint in your hair, I
Oh,
got a problem with that.
Your Honor,
Okay,
I,
that
I
is
get I get that, Your Honor.
Excuse me, ladies. I would like to remind everyone to be very respectful. This is not a debate. This is actually a celebration of natural hair, and also
Mhm,
emphasizing a point that Professor Mcgee made, that our natural hair is liberation. So right now we
mhm,
should not be discussing how our hair would be judged either in a court of law or a profession, but rather reflect on our experiences, either growing up with natural hair, transitioning with natural hair, the issues that we face either in the public or in the workplace. But let's keep this conversation constructive and positive, and remembering that our natural hair is beautiful.
absolutely. Your Honor, I would love to finish this conversation with you off script so they can keep going with where they
Yeah.
want to go. Can
Thank
we do that?
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Dee, and Your Honor, Ms. Hunter. I
Thank
want to
you.
open the space to other reflections. This is really rich and we have so little time left. I see a hand up, if I may, Charla,
Yes.
and then Yolanda, if possible.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry. Hi, everyone. I just chimed in. I just wanted to share a reflection that I wrote a little while ago, and it's not long, but it's about my hair. And when you hear me refer to her, it's my afro. So I put beauty is in the eye of the beholder, they tell me. And what I behold through the glass is truly a work of art. I took her out last night with the whole family in all of her God given glory. But in the light of the corporate morning, to see her staring back at me seems like a novelty. It seems like extreme. It seems like excess. It seems unacceptable. She won't fit in. She will be a distraction for some. She will draw attention. That's it. Thanks.
Beautiful, Charla. Thank you so much. May we go to Yolanda?
Yes, hi. Good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. I have a question.
Hmm.
In light of some of the comments that were made, I kind of put it a little bit in the chat. How should young people address this issue, especially if they're starting out their career in traditional spaces like the legal profession or in other areas where you may be an assertive Black woman who we know can also be categorized as something else, but when you're bringing these other strengths to the table, and now in addition to that you're concerned about your hair and how you appear. So although I agree with it's liberating and everything, I think there's a real practical concern here. And that is, if I'm just starting out in my career and I'm concerned about losing my job, or if I'm an older person, such as myself, who just because of the environment you're in, you're also concerned about drawing additional attention to yourself. How should we really be thinking about this issue?
Yeah.
Because I really like what you said, Ms. Mcgee, about trying to avoid, confrontations or avoid more stigmatism or more being calling out. How should we be thinking about this in a practical sense when we may, maybe not lose our job technically, but there's consequences for when you
Yes.
stand on who you are. How should
Yeah.
we be thinking about this?
Thank you, my dear. Again, this is a conversation we could continue, but you're raising a really important kind of practical question here. So on the one hand, I just want to amplify the comments of my sister Simone. We want to talk about liberation. We want to create more spaces where we can feel free to be ourselves. And we live in a world, to your point, my dear Yolanda, if I may, we live in a world. We live in specific communities, we work in specific places where there may be consequences, or there may be a need, let's say, to change the culture around us. And we don't have complete control over those dynamics. So I think we're having this conversation on multiple dimensions. we're having it as a community of learners and practitioners, and an invitation for us to look inside ourselves and see what might be getting in the way. But we are also wanting to raise a professional conversation amongst those of us in professions, so we can continue it in our workplaces. What are some of the biases that are unnecessary, right? The ways in which not just race, but class bias. We can't all kind of get our hair done at a certain level all the time. That costs money, it takes time. So we want to continue this where we are from this professional level. And politically, pragmatically, in terms of what we can do where we are at a given time and place, that will vary. And so we always have to remember that we are our own best guide about how we can navigate a world where racism, sexism, and all of these oppressions are still real. So that it means then that we're not simply saying go out and just sort of challenge all of the norms wherever you are. You have to bring your own best wisdom to that, of course. And just know that this community, this Mindfulness and Law Society, and other communities of practice aiming to bring mindfulness and social justice together, we will be pushing within these communities to allow these spaces to help us all to grow together. Let me see if I can get, must we immediately, I know some people have to go, I know we're at time. And I know there's some hands still up.
Yes, so
over to my dear Simone, yeah.
I got you. So after Yolanda, it's Magda, Dawn, and Quiana. I put in the chat that Quiana will be the last question. For everyone that has further questions, we're actually having a follow-up to this event later on in the spring. So just be on the lookout in your email. So don't worry, if you have questions now, they will be addressed in the future, or you can personally follow up with Professor Mcgee.
Yes, I'll put my email in the chat. So next is Magda, I think, and then Dawn.
Hi, I'll try to be brief about it. I am a 1L at Case Western Reserve, and I recently, I have locks, I have micro locks, and I had them colored a pretty nice, vibrant orange over winter, and I almost like regretted it afterwards because summer placement interviews are happening right now. So a week ago, I had it toned down to it's more of a burgundy-ish color, but it looks a little black on Zoom, because I felt like I would have difficulty standing out for the right reasons in interviews, especially in a virtual setting. And it's difficult because I recall prior to law school, and my locks will be 3 years in May, kind of grappling with, do I start or do I not start? And I had a lot of people, a lot of close friends and family say, wait until after I secure employment on the other side of law school before starting the journey. And I'm just like, a lot of stuff is changing now. Like I'm leaving my state, I'm leaving my home, I'm starting, a advanced degree program. Like I want this journey of my hair to be a part of that. And so I committed to starting it early, but it's always something to kind of grapple with because you don't see as many locked attorneys and locked justices, and it makes it hard. But I also feel like if I want to be the change, I have to take the risk. And be hopeful that it'll, work out in my favor, and that me, being willing to be one more Black woman attorney with locks will allow whomever who sees me to feel like they could be themselves, whatever that looks like, right? This isn't like, oh, that means that everybody who sees me should lock their hair. No, but you should feel comfortable doing what you want with your hair, wearing it how you like, and know that whatever career path you're choosing, that you'll be accepted by it, because your hair should not be the standard, and the European ideals of beauty should not be the standard. You should be allowed to, come as you are. And I think that this seminar today, or this meeting, sorry, was very par for the course. I really wish it happened a few weeks earlier, because then you guys probably would have seen me with bright orange hair. But yeah, I'm grateful for this. So thank you.
Thank you. Want to move on now to Dawn?
Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity. I'll be brief as well. I just wanted to share years ago when I had braids in my hair, right? I had extensions in my hair. And even though I had pulled them back very neatly in a bun and I had a very nice black suit and everything, I went on 5 interviews and I didn't get any callbacks or any, thing. And so then a few weeks after that, I took my braids out, my hair was relaxed. I pulled it back again. I went on 6 interviews and I got 5 offers. And I knew right there, wow, this is the real thing, right? So now years later, I work in a corporate environment in the legal department. And I started with the straightened hair and I got the job and everything. But after a while, I said, you know what? I'm going for the locks. And I did that. And I had it very short. And people actually were, applauding me and telling me that they liked it and, that sort of thing. And, over time, a few Black attorneys, females started and they had braids and they had all kinds of different natural hair. And I said, wow, they're doing it. They're doing it. And so now today I'm a 1L and I have these locks. And yes, I do believe they should be neat and coiffed, but they are natural and I'm proud of them. And I would never dumb myself down to have hair that's not really my style. I mean, this is who I am, and I proudly wear them neatly, and I hope to inspire other people to do the same.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Simone, we had one more.
Yes, we had one more, which was Kiana. I'm
Hi.
not sure if she still has her question.
Yes. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to give my experience and thank you so much for this conversation today. I, like Dawn, have experienced, going into the workplace with a certain style of hair in order to have them not look at my natural hair and to see me, even though to see me is to also see my natural hair. But one of the things that I love doing is changing my hairstyle often. I change my hair, I wear my hair natural. Sometimes I'll wear the crochet locks. Sometimes I'll wear, you guys see in my picture that it's, sometimes I'll just wear my hair just fluffy and out and big, and sometimes I'll wear it straight. And so one of the things I experienced as a paralegal several years back was an attorney that was new to the company I was working for, pulling one of my coworkers to the side and commenting on how I change my hair so often and how it always looks different. And one of the things that I loved about my coworker is that she stood up for me. And she said to that coworker, who was not African American, that how she does her hair is her prerogative and that she does her work and she's thorough with what she does. And that was the end of the discussion. And so one of the things that I think that we can take away from today's conversation is that we all, regardless of what your race is, can be advocates for other people in the workplace. And so if someone brings that up to you in the workplace or in any other professional setting, I think if we are trying to progress this conversation and further the community that understands the struggles of all people who have these issues, that if you can stand in as an advocate, this will help us create the change that we want to see. So we have larger forums of people talking about how they feel appreciated by all people in the legal community who advocate for the acceptance of, Black hair or any other kind of hair that is natural and is an expression of themselves. So thank you so much for the call today. It's greatly appreciated. It's so timely. And I appreciate everyone on the call who is going to take something away from this conversation, because this is all well and good to be mindful, but it's even better to go out and act on the things that we've learned today. So thank you so much for this call today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. And I just want to amplify Kiana's point here. Mindfulness is, for me, a support for action. It is not a pacifying, just a spa-like pause. It's the pause that enables and invigorates the forces for change. So think of one action that you might be able to do right where you are in your workplace, or just on your own, what I call personal curriculum. I think everybody has a curriculum for this moment in this time to enable us to be more effective agents of change. What do you need to do? Is it reflecting on your own bias? Is it talking to coworkers? Is it talking, to folks, to colleagues? Is it helping change specifically, presenting a program on this? You can do this where you are. So I just want to pause and turn it over to Simone. I want to say thanks to absolutely everybody who's here. We love you all. Come join us at Mills, the Mindfulness and Law Society, and let's continue to be making a difference in the world from where we are. We can do this. It might not change overnight, but the beginnings of change happen when we come together and enable ourselves and feel the power of being together around making the world a little bit better and more welcoming for every single one of us. We all deserve this. Thank you all so much.
And on that note, I would like to thank you, Professor Mcgee, for such an enlightening conversation and elevating us spiritually. I really appreciated your focus on seeing and being seen, and how something as simple as being present in the moment is a powerful aspect of mindfulness. I would like to emphasize a point that you made, which was thinking about our biases as it pertains to race, class, and what is deemed to be professional. And everyone here today, I want you all to think about, is your definition of professionalism linked to these biases? Do they need to be reevaluated? So I encourage you all just to reflect on everything here that was discussed and to integrate mindfulness throughout your life. I would like to thank our amazing national treasurer, Ayana, as well as our Madam Chair, Rachel Barnes. And also Professor Cimino, it's such a fantastic work that you all are doing. And everyone here, please, please, please attend and register for our 53rd National Convention that is taking place from March 3rd to March 7th, as well as our National Pre-Law Symposium. And just be on the lookout for more NBLSA events. Like I said earlier, we are going to have a follow-up to this event, and this is an entire series. So don't worry, we are going to dive deep into these topics and really just work to address and unravel what is rooted within racism, whether it goes from our skin to our hair and everything within the workplace. So just thank you all so much for attending today. And if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to reach out to Professor Mcgee, Mindfulness in the Law Society, and check out nbalsa.org. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.